Hello students, this is your art teacher Mrs. Ashwini Kumar, and today we are going to learn something very interesting. I say that every week, but today we are really going to learn something very interesting. So as you can see, I have a few colors in my palette, and if you're wondering why are they looking like this, that's because these all paints I have made at home. These are homemade paints, and for this I didn't have to do much. I just had to go to the kitchen and find a few ingredients. Now I'll tell you each color from what I have made. So this is yellow. I have used turmeric powder and I've mixed water in it. This I have made with beetroot. This I have made with spinach leaves. This is green. Both of them are different greens. I have mixed a little more water in this to make it light, and this is dark green. This I have made with carrot. Same, both are carrots. So now how have I made these paints using the beetroot and carrot? I have just grated the beetroot and then taken that in a cloth or a handkerchief and squeezed out the juice. So I've used the same method for the carrots. Grate it and put it in a handkerchief or a cloth and squeeze out the juice, and this is the color that you get. For the spinach, same thing. I have cut it into small pieces, smashed it, put it in the cloth and squeezed out the juice. But for the turmeric, you just have to add a little water. Now when you add a little water, the particles settle down, so every time you want to use this yellow, you have to mix it with the brush. Now for you to understand how the colors will turn out, they are not going to be as vibrant as colors from the paint box or the bottles. They are going to be a little muted color. Muted means they are not going to be very bright and vibrant. So I'll just swatch a few colors for you to understand how the colors will look. Let's start with the orange. Make sure that you give it a good stir or a mix before you use the paint. They are very watery, but you can layer them. So when they dry, you can again put another layer of or a coat of the paint and it will become a little darker. Now this is orange. Let's go to the lighter green. This is the light green. This is the dark green. And this is the color from the beetroot. It's a beautiful color. And then the last one will be the turmeric, which I'm going to mix properly and then swatch it. Now these are the colors that I have found from the kitchen. You could experiment with different ingredients to see what color you can derive from there. Make sure to take permission from your parents before you do any kind of experiments for your colors. So these are the beautiful colors that I have got from the kitchen, and I'm going to use these colors to make my painting. You can make any kind of painting using these colors. You could make a scenery, you can make objects, you could make flowers, leaves, because we have those colors. So using these colors will make a beautiful scenery or beautiful painting. So let's start. So I have my paper ready. I have made a outline in which I would want to make my painting. Today I will make a beautiful landscape scenery using the colors that I have made. So I was thinking I'll make a sunset scene wherein I do not need blue for the sky. I can use the orange and the yellow, and for the mountains I can easily use the green that I have. and we can add more details with the beetroot and the yellows. So let's start. Again, very easy. I will just make a few mountains. That's all I'm going to make. I'm not going to make anything else, because the rest I'm going to paint. So 1 and 2, just 2 of them, and we can make a beautiful sunset where the yellow starts from here and blends into the orange, and then of course the green mountains. So let's start with the yellow. Every time you wash the brush, make sure you dry it properly, because the paints are already very thin, they're very watery, and if you add extra water in them, they will thin down even more and won't give you the desired effect and the color. So let's dry it properly. Now these are my colors. I already showed you. I'm going to start with orange and then blend it with the yellow. I'm going to start orange from the top and blend it here, and start with the yellow and blend it around here. Now to give the sky a little more depth, I'm just going to take very little of the beetroot color, very little, I'm just going to dip the tip in it, and because it's a very darker color compared to the rest, so I'm just going to drag my brush with the color that I already have on the brush. It has to be very little, and then blend it slowly. Now, before I start coloring the mountains, I am going to let this color dry thoroughly. It has to be dry, because or else the green will start mixing with this paint. So let this dry, and then we will start painting the mountains. So children, the paint has dried. Now I'll move on and start coloring the mountains. So for that, I will first use the light green to give it a wash, and then I will add more details with the dark green. So this was the light green and this was the dark green. So I'll start with the light green again to nicely mix it before you start painting, because the particles settle down. Now with the dark green, I'll just add a little grass or trees over here to fill up this area. So I'm just giving small strokes like that and filling it up. Now if you want, you could also add a few flowers over here on this area. For that I'll use the beetroot color. Again, it has to be very little because the beetroot color is very dark. So I'll just dip my brush in that, and instead of making the flowers, I will just dot the brush like that. And what will happen is, because the paint is a little wet, it will spread up. The paint will spread a little and will give you a beautiful illusion of flowers. Remember, when you are painting the flowers on the bottom, they have to be bigger than on the top. So on the top you will just slightly touch the brush so that the flowers are smaller, and at the bottom you will press it a little harder so that the flowers become a little big. You could go over the yellow and the orange to give it to make it a little more darker. Let me see if I can make the yellow a little darker, just where the sun is. Just dabbing, because the particles of the turmeric give it the color. So I just want the particles also to be here in the paint. So children, this painting is entirely made of colors that I have made using the ingredients in our kitchen. You could experiment and try and extract colors from different ingredients. You could experiment. Don't forget to take permission from your parents before you do any kind of experiments to get your paint. And I would like to see different kinds of paintings from you using the paints that you have made. And I would also like to know how you have made those paints. So till then children, enjoy painting and don't forget to experiment.